Alright. Hopefully everybody can hear me pretty well. Let's see. Make sure everything's good. All right, I guess just let me know if you can hear me well, if the background of the truck isn't too loud, because if it's really loud, then I have to turn the truck off, and if I turn the truck off, I might be sweating like last time. I don't know, I think it's like 77 degrees right now. So, I mean, it's not like super hot, but it's pretty warm. But just let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me okay. If the sound is okay and the background of the truck isn't too terrible, let me know with a one, a yes, or something. But anyway, let me just get to the chapter. So, we know how we left off last time. Right, so last time we had Arthur. He came and he rescued Kara from the dungeons because this Vakajor, however the hell you pronounce his name, this leader of the dragons that's there in Daikatha now, they've been changing up shit. Been imprisoning. They imprisoned Kara, and she's been tortured and stuff. We still don't know to the extent of like how her torturing worked or what her injuries are. But she seems to be okay, okay enough to be able to slap Arthur in the face. So, I'm not really sure exactly the extent of her injuries or her torture, but I was thinking that maybe Vakajor and Arthur was going to have some fight or some shit because, he showed up and he's just like, oh, you can't, I'm not done with her yet. And just like, she's an ally, like, are you trying to torture my allies and stuff like that? And I thought they was going to have a showdown. I really, really thought that they was going to have a showdown, but they didn't. He ended up walking away. And so now we're going to just figure out where we go from here. In my opinion, really what needs to happen is we need to get some sort of meeting with Virion and all the, important people in the story. And they need to figure out a plan on how they're going to handle, like, these dragons being there. Like, what's the line of authority? Like, are the dwarves now obeying the dragons now? Like, I don't know. Like, they need to figure something out. But yeah, so that's where we're at right now. This chapter is called Fellowship Forge. Now, Fellowship Forge, what could that possibly mean? I'm guessing a fellowship is like a alliance, right? I guess it could be like a graduation or something. Let me see what it says. Fellowship, a friendly association, especially with people who shares one's interests. So a friendly association. So I'm guessing maybe some sort of like deal happens with, like, I would say with Saris or somebody that shares one's interest or whatever. Again, let me know if my sound is good. Let me know if my sound is good and the truck isn't too loud. If you can just let me know in the chat, that would be great. So that way it's not like, because if it's not good, then I'll have to turn the truck off to try to get rid of some of the background noise. But Fellowship Forge, that's where we're at right now. That's the name of the chapter, and let's just get into it. Let's get into the chapter. Okay, we're continuing with Vakajor. Okay, I don't know if it is Vajrakor. I don't know how to say this guy's name, but we're continuing. We're not going anywhere else, which is good. I'm so glad that we're not going to no bitch ass Cecilia. I'm just glad. I'm glad that we're continuing. Like, she's like the worst part of the story. Like, honestly, she really is. But I really need to figure out how to say the guy's names. Vajrakor. I mean, he's gonna be around for a minute. I need to know how to say it, like a little bit, right? Vajrakor. I don't know. But let's just start with the chapter. Okay, so I'm gonna just say Vajrakor. That's what I'm gonna just say. I'm gonna say Vajrakor until I find out. Vajakor's presence receded with each step we took, while Kara's strength returned bit by bit. Okay, cool. Cramped tunnels gave way to sprawling, ornate halls, and finally to the open expanse of Vidoriel's primary cavern. From the steps of the palace, the entire underground metropolis sprawled out before us. Varae eyed me with an air of uncertainty, clearly second-guessing how I'd handled the altercation with the dragon. See, I thought Varae was I thought she was completely down with what Arthur was doing, because remember when Vakajor, when he finally said to him, like, listen, stand in my way and I'm gonna consider you an enemy. And then Varae was like, yeah, they catch on quick. These dragons, they catch on quick. I'm just like, oh, okay, Varae, she's with it. But now she's like, I guess she's like second guessing what Arthur did. So clearly second guessing how I handled the altercation with the dragon. I'm gonna make sure that these fucking names. Torvair and Bolgar are sufficiently insulated. That's what that shit is. I was about to say insinuated. Insulated from this situation. Then I have my own duties to attend to. Will you be in the city long? So this is Varae saying this. Man, Varae, man. So she's got her own. So what's going on? We still don't know what all is going on. She has her own duties to attend to. Will you be in the city long? I glanced at Kara. Probably not. So I guess he's about to go with her and figure out what's going on with Cerys. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Be careful, Arthur, she said, a small frown creasing her brow. Despite winning back our continent, I can't help but feel as if Daikatha has never been in more danger than it is right now. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I was saying. Like, they should understand that these dragons are a problem. They should understand that these dragons aren't like, this isn't something that's like, they're not safe. They're not safe right now. So I'm glad that she's actually recognizing that they're in danger with these dragons being there. I let out a humorous laugh. What's that saying about frying pans and fires? What the hell is it saying about what? What's that saying about frying pans and fires? I have no idea what he's talking about. Frying pans and fires. So like, I don't know. Let's see what he says. Except in this case, it is dragon's fire, Varae said darkly. She held out her hand to Kara. When Kara took it, Varae pressed something in her palm. I grabbed this when I heard Arthur was approaching. Wait. Varae said darkly. She held out her hand to Kara. When Kara took it, Varae pressed something into her palm. Is it her necklace? I grabbed this when I heard Arthur was approaching the city. I know I'm only returning what is yours, but I want you to know that if Arthur trusts you, I do too. See, this is so great. It's the lances. Like, I kind of separate the lances from the rest of the people because, they fought together. They kind of trained together with Arthur, and, they're both lances themselves. And so it's just so nice to actually just see, like, the lances trust Arthur so much that if Arthur says that someone's trustworthy, they have so much faith in Arthur that it's just like, I'm gonna trust you too. Like, even though she's from Alacria, and even though she has fucking Vitra horns, they're still, at least Varae's still like, I'm gonna trust you too. And so that just shows how much faith they have in Arthur. And that's just really good, because he needs people to have faith in him. He needs to be in charge. He needs to be able to make decisions, and all those things that I talked about before. I grabbed this when I heard Arthur was approaching the city. I know I'm only returning what is yours, but I want you to know that if Arthur trusts you, I do too. Then her feet lifted off the ground, and she flew out into the open cavern. Kara slid an ornate ring onto her finger. Her slid an ornate ring onto her finger. Her gaze shifting to me as she fidgeted anxiously. I am grateful that you came, and I apologize for striking you. I waved a hand dismissively. I deserve worse. You never should have had to endure that. Any of it. Silence fell between us, and I awkwardly I wanted to go to correct her and be like, listen, you can call me Arthur. Like, I'm not Gray. Silence fell between us, and I awkwardly started walking, trying to think of what else to say. I've been forced to leave Alacria without explanations or goodbyes. The last time I saw her, she still thought I was a Cinder Gray. I wouldn't blame her if she hated me for my lies. But I comforted myself with the fact that Ceres had known the truth and still sent Kara to find me. My mother is an emitter, a healer. Right, okay, he just coming out with like, revealing, more things about him, like, so, man. And this is what's so crazy too, because Kara's probably going to even be more trustworthy of Arthur, like slowly, not in the beginning, but like more trustworthy of Arthur, the more that like he reveals. Because Kara, her character, she's always wanted Arthur to trust her, and she wanted to learn more and more about Arthur, like he was shrouded in mystery. So if Arthur starts to open it up about who his mom is, how he has a sister, and then now Sylvie's back, she's going to be finding out like, oh my God, I'm learning so much about you. Like, oh, you finally trust me to tell me all your secrets now. So I think this is going to just make her happy. My mother is an emitter, a healer, I said after a couple minutes, just to break the awkward silence. She can mend your wounds. My wounds aren't important, Kara said forcefully. They're in her mouth clamped shut, and she looked away. I'm sorry, I said, watching her from the corner of my eye, for this and for lying to you about my identity. I suppose it makes us even, she said. So that is kind of funny, the fact that, she lied about who she was, and then now, he kind of did the exact same thing. I don't want to be sweating, man. I don't want to be sweating. Hopefully it's not too loud. But, where am I at? Okay. So I'm sorry. I said watching her from the corner of my eye for this and for lying to you about my identity. I suppose it makes us even, she said, humorously, still not looking at me. A portal of Dwarven guards, a patrol of Dwarven guards stopped to watch us, nervously fingering their weapons. I kept an eye on them until we had moved past and they resumed their march. Where were you? The relic tombs are built in a dimension all made of ether. The zones just sort of float, disconnected from everything in this vast etheric ocean. I used that ether to bring back my old bond, Sylvie, the one who sacrificed herself for you. And you succeeded in bringing her back, I mean? I did. I hesitated to continue, turning my senses inward to my ether core. The broken shards of my original mana core were still fused together within a solid barrier of ether. Hold on, let me, because he kind of re-explaining this. The broken shards of my original mana core were still fused together with a solid barrier of ether, an almost crystalline structure. The core had taken a deep magenta color when I originally forged it, but had darkened with each subsequent layer. Now the 3-layered core was a vivid purple sphere resting dark and heavy in my sternum. For each layer provided greater refinement of the stored ether. Oh yeah, so not only does he have a more abundance of ether, the more layers he makes. So the actual, it's kind of like with the mana cores. The clarity and the refinement of the ether it's more pure. Each layer provided greater refinement of the stored ether and allowed more ether to be drawn. Oh, okay. Allow more ether to be drawn in and stored inside the core. Is he talking about this or is he just thinking? Because he said, I did. So he's talking to her about how he brought Sylvie back. I think he's thinking. I think he's just thinking. Yeah, he turned his senses towards his ether core, and then now he's just thinking. He's just thinking. Let's see. Where am I at? So yeah, so each layer provided a greater refinement of the stored ether and allowed more ether to be drawn in and stored inside the core. When I had first forged the ether core, I could hardly condense enough for... So yeah, he's just talking. He's just talking at this point. He's not like talking to her about this. He's just like thinking. When I had first forged the ether core, I could hardly condense enough for a single etheric blast. It had taken significant training and refinement of the core to allow for even 2 or 3 blasts. But adding a second layer had increased my capacity exponentially in an instant. There hadn't been time to test what my core, and by extension what I was capable of doing now, but it felt different, more potent, like a miniature sun trapped in my chest. That's what Chul has said. He said that he was like a blazing sun or some shit like that. A miniature sun trapped in his chest. That's crazy. Speaking falteringly, I think that's how I said that, I continued, explaining what I had done and why. Unfortunately, disconnected from the world, none of us were capable of sensing the passage of time. Oh yeah, so he's explaining what happened with Sylvie and everything. So unfortunately, unfortunately, disconnected from the world, none of us were capable of sensing the passage of time. So you spent 2 months meditating and gathering ether? Kara asked, sounding dumbstruck. Gray, that's insane. I rubbed the back of my neck, embarrassed. I wonder how long is she going to be calling him Gray? Or at some point, is she going to start calling him Arthur? Or maybe he's like, you can call me Gray, like, no big deal. I don't know. I don't think it really matters that much. It would be weird. I mean, she probably should just call him Arthur because that's who all his friends call him, and that's how that's how everyone referred to him as. They refer to him as Arthur. So you spent 2 months meditating and gathering ether, Kara asked, sounding dumbstruck. Gray, that's insane. I rubbed the back of my neck, embarrassed. Honestly, it was probably longer since time seems to move faster in the relic tombs. Kara shook her head. That's true. It could have been 6 months for all you know. She let out a long, weary sigh. You could have ended up not coming back at all. We were interrupted by someone shouting my name, and I realized we were passing through one of the small markets that dotted the highway. A young elven girl ran up to me, pressed a dried flower into my hand, and then sprinted away, giggling. Most of those who had passed by simply stared at us, but the focus was always on Kara. I had grown used to the horns wrapping around her head like a crown, but to the people of this continent, those horns made her look like an enemy. And that's true. That makes sense. Why did Sarah send you to Dakatha? I asked, turning off the winding highway. I think that's winding highway. Toward the gates of the Earthborn Institute. And without your pendant to hide your horns? Yeah, he doesn't know what happened. They had a fight with Drogoth. Drogoth almost killed her ass. She said she needed you in Alakria soon, but that was 2 months ago, I finished for her. I was attacked on my way to the Tempest Warp. An ally of Ceres, another pupil, betrayed her, she continued, her words dripping icy venom. I was nearly captured, only just escaped by Scythe Drogoth Vritra. I must have lost the pendant during the battle. So, I said slowly, letting the word linger in the air. My friend Hadrid is dead then? He's actually making jokes. This is so crazy. He's making jokes right now about this. So, my friend Hadrid is dead then? Kara gave a startled laugh. Oh my, I hadn't even considered that. Her momentary smile faded. She had dark circles under her eyes, and I could practically see her straining to keep them open. Perhaps you were right. Sarah shouldn't have sent me here. You aren't even Alacrian. What's happened to your people, to your family? You don't owe us anything. If I had known, I had still been supporting Kara's weight while we walked, but now she pulled away from me. When she spoke again, it was with an air of resignation. You have your own battles to fight. I understand that now. If you can just help me get back to Alacria, I will. Gently taking hold of her forearm, I stopped. She did the same, her scarlet eyes full of questions. In that convergence zone, the first time we really met, I was just figuring out what was going on. I was ready to leave everyone there to die once I realized you were all Alacrian. Oh, so he's letting her know exactly how he feels, because she's like, listen, I don't blame you. You know, you have your own battles to fight and everything. But he's explaining to her like how he really feels. So let me say it again. So in that convergence zone, the first time we really met, I was just figuring out what was going on. I was ready to leave everyone there to die when I realized you were all Alacrian. You were enemies, and I thought you all had to be twisted, evil monsters. It was simpler for me to think that. I took a deep breath. Kara, you showed me the truth about this war. You and Alaric, Seth, Mela, everyone I met who was just trying to get by on a continent darkened by a Grona shadow. You aren't my enemy. The Asuran tyrants who seek to mold this world into their own cruel little playgrounds, or worse, burn our world to the ground. They are our enemies. So I'm glad he's finally like explaining this to her, and she can finally realize, like, listen, like, you know, you're not my enemy, you're an ally. You know, this is nice. This is nice, actually. I kind of like this. But hopefully I'm sounding pretty good to you guys. I said earlier that make sure that, you know, my that it's not too loud, the background noise. But I appreciate you guys joining though. But so yeah, so basically at this point, Kara, she's thinking about, she wants to go back to Alacria. And that Arthur, you know, he has his own battles to fight, and that, you know, there's no, you know, he got his own stuff to worry about. You don't need to worry about her, you know. She's thinking that he thinks that Alacria is, you know, the enemy because of the war and everything like that. So he's just explaining to her and letting her know, like, you're not the enemy. You know, we're all going through the same thing. You know, these Asuras, they're battle, and they're just using the lessers, the humans, and use them as puppets, playthings. You know, with Agrona doing all the testing that he's been doing and all the other shit. But she's finally like starting to realize, like, you know, I wonder what he's going to do now. Is he going to go with her to Alacria and, like, you know, meet with Cerys and kind of figure out what the plan is next? But let's see. So they are our enemies. She gazed up at me for a moment, then gave a small shake of her head. Does anything frighten you? That's what she's thinking about? Does anything frighten? I mean, she don't know, man. He's been through a whole lot of shit. Let Regis come in here and start talking. Fucking, he has bathed in lava. Like, I mean, he done gone through so much crazy shit. Like, he didn't have like limbs burned off. He didn't have arms chopped off, and he done been stabbed and pretended to be dead, stabbed through the heart, like all types of crazy shit. Like, I mean, at this point, what is he gonna be afraid of? Like, I mean, the only thing that hasn't happened is somebody's chopped his head off. But if somebody chops his head off, could he grow his head back? I don't know. I don't know. So does anything frighten you? I hung my head, suddenly ashamed. I'm terrified, Kara. I'm not being powerful enough, smart enough, clear-headed enough, but most of all, I'm scared of losing. Too many people already look up to me like I'm some kind of deity. I just need you to be my friend. Her eyes searched mine for a long moment, her lips slightly pursed. And then she heaved a long, melodramatic sigh. Fine. And here I was, all ready to start the first Temple of Grey. He who walks among us. I snorted but couldn't hide my smile as we started walking away. I'm glad you've managed to retain your sense of humor through everything. Kara's laughter died on her lips, her face darkening. The dragon's idea of torture was a little worse. The dragon's idea of torture was little worse than what any Alacrian child fate. Bruh, are they serious? That's wild. That's crazy, man. The amount of shit that these Vritra-blooded Alacrians go through, just even as a child, like that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. This guy's put the back end next to me. Yeah, so the dragon's idea of torture was little worse than what any Alacrian child faces when they began training for their trials. But each step she took was heavy, and I knew she was hurting more than she let on. My amusement shriveled within me. We didn't speak anymore until we reached the unassuming door that led into my mother and sister's home in Vildoriel, a small suite of rooms within the Earthborn Institute itself. The door opened before I could knock. Sylvie smiled and stood aside, waving us in. Your sister had me paranoid you were going to vanish, she said lightly. I think she's planning to shackle herself to you so you can't leave her again. Man, it's just so fucking crazy to have Sylvie back and like Ellie and then Alice. You got Regis there. I don't know, it's just really dope. But Sylvie, Ellie yelled from across the room, indignant. That was supposed to be a secret. I think she's planning on shackling herself to you so you can't leave her again. So that was supposed to be a secret? That's wild. I led the way in and scooped Ellie into a bear hug. Does that mean you're not mad at me anymore? I asked, crushing her to me. Irate, she gasped, squirming to get free. Oh, hi, Lady Kara. Glad my goon of a brother was able to get you out of there. I started to release her, frowning. Did I miss something? Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like, how the hell did Ellie have a relationship with Kara and like I don't get it. I don't get it. But I'm starting to sweat. I gotta turn this truck on. Alright, hopefully it's not too loud. Goodness gracious. I'm gonna start dying of sweat. So did I miss something? How do you suddenly, Ellie stiffly pulled loose of my grip. She straightened her clothes and looked past me. I followed her gaze to Chul, who had appeared in the doorway behind Kara and me. My brows rose. Hi, Ellie said. Man, everybody is there, like in their house. Like you got Kara there, Ellie's there, Alice is there, Regis is there, Sylvie's there. Now Chul shows up. Like everybody's just chilling in the Leywin makeshift home. Like that's so crazy. Hi, Ellie said, brushing past me and holding out her hand to the officer. His hand engulfed hers. We didn't get introduced earlier. I'm Eleanor Leywin. Chul, he said politely as he scanned the small living room. You have really pretty eyes, she added, staring up into the orange and blue orbs. That's so crazy. His first compliment is from Ellie. He looked away and released her hand. They're like battle flags, proudly displaying to the world that I am descended from the Phoenix and Jinn races. Our enemies should tremble at the sight of them. Of course, she said, taking a step back and smiling awkwardly. She walked backwards for a few more steps, then turned and marched into the kitchen. Mom and Arthur is here with more company. Arthur is here with more company. Regis, who was lying on his side on the floor, his stomach distended. I think that's how you say that shit. Let me see how you say it for sure. Increase in vocabulary. Distension? Yeah, I think that's how you say it. rolled onto his feet to give Kara a small bow. "Milady, glad to see you embracing your horns. The trio, back together again. The horny trio." Man, Regis, he never stops. He never stops with his fucking jokes, man. The horny trio. The horny trio. Wait, who is the third person? Oh yeah, I think Sylvie, right? I think Sylvie was the... No. Regis, Arthur, and Kara was the horny trio. But now they got quadruple now. So what name is he gonna come up with now? Sylvie appeared from the kitchen, Arch wearing an uncertain smile, caught halfway between amused and uncomfortable. Was he... Oh, really now, Regis, don't be crass. Just as I was beginning to regret all my life decisions, my mother appeared. She gave me a peck on the cheek as if to assure me that everything would, in fact, be all right. Then stiffened at the sight of Kara. "Oh dear, look at you." She whisked across the room to Kara's side, slipped her arm around the startled Alacrian, and then glared at me. "Arthur Lewin, how dare you drag this young woman around the city in this state?" I opened my mouth to defend myself against this unfair accusation, second-guessing the impulse, and let my mouth slowly close. "Come on, let's get you clean and patched up," Mom said, leading Kara toward the hallway that connected to the bedrooms and the bath. Man, that is so wild. That is so wild that, like, she's just so... Like, she looks at an Alacrian with the horns and all the shit that had happened, and she's just, like, completely normal. Like, treating her like she's her... Not her daughter, but, like, she's, like, a member of the family or something. Like, already. So come on, let's get you clean and patched up, Mom said, leading Kara toward the hallway that connected to the bedrooms and bath. "Oh, I'm fine, Mrs. Lewin. Seriously, there's no need to... Call me Alice, dear, remember." Kara threw an uncertain look back at me, but I could only mirror her look back as Mom led her deeper into the rooms. A litany of concerned muttering trailed behind them. "How do you... Oh, Mom was called in to heal..." Oh yeah, so somebody's probably explaining how is it that they know who Kara is. "Oh, Mom was called in to heal Kara's wounds when she first arrived," Ellie said conversationally. "When I heard she supposedly knew you, I went to see if it was true. She's pretty cool." Something about the way Ellie looked at me as she drew out the word cool made me squirm uncomfortably. "What an amusing family you have," Chul chimed in. He made his way to the couch and eased down on it, testing his strength to make sure it will hold him. When it didn't collapse, he nodded in satisfaction. "I have looked around this city and decided I have seen enough. Everyone stares at me and there are no enemies to bash. Unless you count the dragons, which I understand are off limits for now. So, when do we start killing basilisks?" Man, Chul is... He's a character, yo. Like, he's literally just like, "I'm only here for the smoke. All right, there is no smoke here. So when do we start the smoke? When do we get the smoke, okay? When do we start killing basilisks?" Ellie returned from the kitchen and leaned against the archway. "So, you're all definitely going to Alacria then?" "Wait, what?" Ellie returned from the kitchen and leaned against the archway. "So, you're all definitely going to Alacria then?" "Our first point of business is to rescue Ceres," Regis said, sitting up and looking serious. "If there's anything... Wait. Our first point of business is to rescue Ceres." Did they even agree on this? Regis is just like kind of saying this out of nowhere. Sitting up and looking serious. "If there's anything of her little rebellion left to save." "We are, but we can't just run off. Kara needs time to rest, and we need to get organized." I paused, following the progress of a powerful aura approaching us. There is still a lot I need to wrap my head around. I won't feel right about leaving the continent until I know certain wheels are in motion. Finally, man. Finally we can get some sort of, like, I guess, like I said, organization to like make sure that everything is going to be good here at Icathan. Like, these dragons are a problem. They really, really are. My grandfather will be furious that you didn't bring me to him immediately, Sylvie mused. I shrugged, but does she even care though? Like, why is she even mentioning this? Like, does anybody even care that she hasn't met her grandfather? Like, does she really give a fuck about her grandfather? I shrugged, already heading toward the door. I don't think trying to integrate ourselves with Kez's is a winning strategy in any situation, I said over my shoulder. Opening the door, I looked out onto the hallway just as Ren Kane floated around the corner of his stone chair. The Titan always wore a look of fused irritation and disappointment, but now he displayed both in abundance. Yeah, that's about how my meeting with the city guardian left me feeling too, I said, commiserating with Ren Kane's mood. Still more enjoyable than being forced to train an idiot lesser child, he snapped. Well, he's still salty about what happened with Aldir, man. He's still salty. Still more enjoyable than being forced to train an idiot lesser child, he snapped, pulling up short. Pulling up short in his floating throne, which took up most of the hall's width. His eyes narrowed. I can see you have something on your mind. What is it you're planning? Chul appeared behind me. One big fist hammered against his chest in a kind of salute. Elder Ren Kane, fourth of your name. Welcome to the strange, claustrophobic, abode, I think I say that, of Clan Leywin. I've heard this word before. Is it, Abode. That's how you say that, abode. So Chul appeared, one fist hammering against his chest in a kind of salute. Elder Ren Kane, fourth of your name. Welcome to the strange, claustrophobic abode of Clan Leywin. There will be a great many things here for you to complain about, I'm sure. Complaining is how I get things done, Ren countered, leaning back further into his throne. If you really wanted to help, you would join us in crushing the Vritra, Chul went on. Aldir said you can control an entire army of golems at once. That would be useful. That would be a useful ability when we face Avrona's forces. If Arthur was eager to help in combat, perhaps he should have executed one of Ephiod's greatest warriors. Oh, shouldn't have. If Arthur was eager to help in combat, perhaps he shouldn't have executed one of Ephiod's greatest warriors, Ren shot back, the emotion in his voice surprisingly raw and visceral. I didn't, I answered quietly. Oh, so he's actually going to tell him the truth. I understand why he didn't say it because of Mordain, but I don't know. But you also got Chul, and Chul is loyal to Mordain too, so he'll find out eventually from Chul if Chul goes back, so I don't really get it. I didn't, I answered quietly. It was the one thing to keep up the lie for Mordain and an audience of phoenixes, but an entirely other thing to continue lying to Ren, especially considering what I needed to ask him. Aldir chose to exile himself in that place. It was his suggestion that I use his death to earn accolades from both Kez's and the people of Icathan. What? Ren cut himself off, glowering at me. Your story stinks more than Titan bear shit. Why would Aldir do that? The Asura huffed before I could answer, then said, that damn Pantheon and his sense of honor. Of course he did. He looked me up and down with a disappointed grimace. I was stupid to believe that you'd somehow killed Aldir anyway. And that was my thing, like, why they so quickly just like, oh yeah, he killed Aldir? Like, Aldir? You think he just, like, killed one of, like, they literally, one of Ephiod's greatest warriors? You just like, oh yeah, he just killed Aldir, no big deal. Why is this dog just, like, wandering around? I don't know. Anyway, Thanks, I said, one brow raised slightly. I'm sorry I had to lie to you, Ren. I wasn't sure if I could trust everyone in the hearth. Bah! Chua burst out, crossing his massive arms over his broad chest. My family has roosted for too long. None of them would have interfered either way. They see themselves as separate from the world, and perhaps his family. So does he have like brothers and sisters? Chua does? My family has roosted for too long. None of them will have interfered either way. They see themselves as separate from the world, and perhaps they are. Perhaps they have been made to be no longer welcome in Ephiodus, but not fitting in here. The hearth might as well be locked in time. Once the last of the jinn faded, Chua trailed off, then snorted and returned back to my family's rooms. Listen, Ren, I need to speak to you. Would you come with me? I asked, glad to have cleared the air between us so that I could speak my mind more plainly. Ren's scraggy brows rose and he leaned forward in his seat. So, you do have something on your mind. Fine, lead the way. I sent a probing thought to Regis and Sylvie. Okay, so basically at this point, we're kind of getting things organized a little bit, right? You know, we kind of cleared the air with what had happened. He told the truth about Aldir. And so Ren's not as pissed off at him anymore. And then Chua was like, ingratiating himself with the family. You got Kara there. She's ingratiating herself with the family. Alice is treating Kara like family. The horny trio is back. Although you got Sylvie now. So I guess they have to come up with a new name. And so Arthur's trying to come up with a plan now. So I wonder why he isn't involving, because they're going to go back to Alakria based off of what Ellie just said. So I wonder why he's not involving like Virion or like the other lances and stuff like that. I wonder why he's not involving them in the decision. But let's see. So lead the way. He sent the probing thought to Regis and Sylvie. Regis groaned directly in my mind in a way I found somewhat grotesque. Too full, I might have ruptured something. Staying right where I am. Thanks. Wait. Oh, this is him. Too full, I might have ruptured something. Staying right where I am. Where I'm at. That's what it says. Thanks. I want to speak more with Ellie, Sylvie thought. I'm eager to learn more about her spell form. Oh, damn, she's learning about her spell form? I'll be back soon, I thought, leading Ren deeper into the Institute's winding passages. Is this motherfucker going to meet Gideon? Oh, that's going to be so dope. Ren and Gideon coming up together with some fucking crazy shit. Oh, man. It's going to be wild. We hadn't gone far before a bestial snuffling noise brought me up short. A huge hairy manabeast was approaching along the hallway. Boo. So broad he took up nearly the entire width. Boo. I was wondering where you've been, I said, standing along aside to let the guardian bear pass. He snorted and grunted before stopping to sniff at Ren, who made his throne shrink in order to clear the way. Winsom's gift to your sister, I presume, Ren noted, peering appraisingly. Peering appraisingly at Boo. He seemed to have been handled well, a strong bond for a teenage human. Boo let out a huff that blew Ren's hair back, then continued down the hallway, his bulk shifting from side to side with each step. I considered what Ren had said. It was easy to forget that Winsome had gifted Boo to Ellie. So much had changed since then. It was difficult to think that Winsome had ever been anything but my enemy. So what's your plan exactly? Ren asked a minute later as we made our way down into the lower passages of the Earthborn Institute. I had to think about this before I could respond. I'd expected to spend some time navigating the new power dynamic of the dragons embedded throughout Daikathon. Let me reread this really quick. Okay. I had to think about this before I could respond. I'd expected to spend some time navigating the new power dynamic of the dragons embedded throughout Daikathon. Mordaine's warning was still fresh in my mind, and I needed to know the people of the continent were safe. Finding Kara and Vildorio has shifted my priorities, however. I need to know what's happening in Alacrian. So you'll go yourself. Ren picked at the ends of his messy hair, frowning thoughtfully. You'll need eyes and ears here in Daikathon, though. Who do you trust? This question also requires some thought. Virian Aerolith, he's dealt with Asura before. Even Aldir never cowed to him. And the other Lances, to be honest, as a group, we were pretty self-absorbed and insufficient during the war. But I've seen how much Byron and Micah had changed. I can't see any of them being subservient to an Asura like Vakajor or Vajakor. Is that it? Ren asked, discerning, is that dirt? I don't know this word. Let me look this up.
Derision.
Derision. I don't even know this fucking word.
Contemptuous.
Contemptuous? Showing contempt? Scornful? Okay. Where the hell was I at? Is that it, Ren asked? Derision dripping from the words. I'd expected better of you. In less dire circumstances, I would say there are many others I trust. Wait. Oh, so that's all. That's all he. That's the only person he trusts. So he says, so who do you trust? This question also required thought. Virian Aerolith. He's dealt with the Asuras before. Even Aldir never cowed to him, and the other Lances. To be honest, as a group, we were pretty self-absorbed and insufficient during the war, but I've seen how much Byron and Micah had changed. I can't see any of them being subservient to the Asuras like Vakajor. I mean, besides his family, that's kind of going without being said. So Virian and the 3 Lances, and that is it. So 4 people in his family. That's the only people he trusts. Gideon? Does he trust Gideon? I don't know. Is that it? Ren asked. Derision dripping from the words. I expected better of you. In less dire circumstances, I would say there are many others I trust. Considering who we're up against, I let the statement hang in the air, then continued. I need your mind, Ren. I don't think I can do this without you. Intriguing. Do go on. Once I've introduced you to your new team. This is going to be Gideon, bro. This has got to be Gideon. Once I've introduced you to your new team, a few minutes later, we enter. So it's going to be Gideon. It's going to be Emily. So you got Gideon, you got Emily. I guess what? Ellie, she might be part of the team. I don't know. A few minutes later, we entered the door of one of the several underground laboratories within the Earthborn Institute. The rooms we entered were more clustered than the last time I visited. With stacks of parchment spread over every surface, several more tables and shelves had brought in, and a wide variety of hand-drawn diagrams covered the walls. I couldn't even begin to take it all in. Emily Watson, her curly hair pulled into a messy knot at the back of her head. I looked up from her work, and her eyes went so wide they nearly eclipsed the thick round glasses she wore. Arthur! Okay, so here's Emily. It's going to be Emily and... I want to talk so what is going to be the dynamic they're going to have? I mean, he said your team, so I'm guessing he's going to be in charge, obviously. And they're going to work under him. And, I got some thoughts. Okay, I'll just keep reading, though. Her shout immediately preceded the noise of a body part cracking against something hard, which followed closely by a pained curse Then an explosion. Parchment flew everywhere, and the lab began to fill with smoke. A figure stepped out through the haze, his eyebrows smoldering. Burning parchment rained around him. Well, if it isn't the bane of my existence, where did you vanish to this time? Land of the gods? A secret third continent full of magical talking lemons? What the hell is he talking about? That's the third time I've transcribed those notes, Emily whined. Something began emitting an angry buzz, and the smoke was pulled to one corner. The room quickly cleared, and I realized an artifact in the corner had drawn in all the smoke. Emily was standing next to the artifact, empowering it with mana. She waved her hand smudged with dark stains. Don't take it personally, Arthur. He's glad to see you. In fact, he's been practically distraught at your absence. Oh, be quiet, Watson, Gideon snapped, scowling at his pupil. Anyway, now that you're back, there are several things to discuss. First, though, who is this? He looked suspiciously at Ren. Ren was inspecting a nearby diagram. This isn't the worst. A little rudimentary in its use of mana, but the idea itself is almost clever. Oh, shit. Man, this whole dynamic I was wondering how it was going to be. When Ren finally went with Aldir, I'm just like, oh shit, so Ren and Gideon and, they still got the imbuing, the artifact, what was it called? To give them their power-ups. What the hell is that artifact called? To give them their spell forms. They still have that little wand thing that they can use, the staff or whatever, they can use to give them power-ups and stuff. So I wonder if Ren can do anything with tweaking that or something, or man, the potential right now is kind of crazy. And then Gideon's making those weapons for the regular humans. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Gideon, this is Ren Kane IV. He's in a sewer, obviously. Gideon interrupted wappishly. What do you mean, rudimentary? I stepped in between them. I don't have time to waste on you two comparing the size of your beakers. Have the dragons interfered at all with your work? Gideon managed to look both insulted and self-satisfied. No, I've kept our primary purpose quiet, using the fire salt imbued weaponry as a cover. Winsome himself came to investigate. Really? This motherfucker Winsome came? Oh, man. Winsome himself came to investigate, since he knew me from the war, but he barely looked at the weapons before writing them off as inconsequential and leaving me to them. I don't think these dragons of yours have much respect for us lessers. They don't. Like I said, that's why I named the chapter last chapter. That's why I said the disrespect, because it's just so much disrespect. Imagine a team of Gideon, Emily, Ren, and Nico. Yeah, I didn't even think about Nico. That would be crazy, man. They'd be able to have they'd be able to build an entire new world. It'd be like technology advanced 1,000 years. It would be crazy. It would be really insane. But Nico though, I still don't know what the hell is gonna go with Nico. Nico's just not as bad as Cecilia though. Cecilia's on a whole new level of Anyway, so Winsome showed up. Damn, I keep on missing my place. Inconsequential. Okay, weapons. Ren turned away from the diagrams, looking genuinely interested. What this about them then? Wait. What's this about then? I explained what we'd already developed. Excuse me, shut. Gideon put in technical details here and there, and Emily made a point to correct us both when necessary. But the dragon's arrival has made this even more pressing. Empowering our mages is important, but they make up only 1% of Daikathan's population. I keep forgetting about that. Well, I didn't forget, but that was why he was making the weapons in the first place, because he wanted to have normal humans have some sort of fighting chance against mages. Because unlike Alacria, which I think like half of their population are mages, Dicathon's only like 1%. But I still don't even know how many humans there actually are. Like, I still don't even know. Like, I don't even know how many people are alive. Like, Tacy killed a ton of people in the sanctuary, but I know everybody wasn't in the sanctuary. A lot of people was back at, you know, the other places and stuff, Black Rock or whatever. We still need to figure out how many dragons are actually there, because I'm thinking like maybe a couple dozen, like maybe 24. Yeah, so only 1% of Dicathon's population are mages. Weapons alone aren't going to be enough, not really. Thinking it through, even as I attempted to explain it, I laid out my idea. The others only interrupted to ask a question or point out some contradiction as I circled around my purpose. My confusion and skepticism quickly transformed into interest and then, dare I say it, even excitement. I'll never let a magicless lesser stand up against an Endref clan warrior, Ren said. I'll never let a magicless lesser stand up against an Endref clan warrior, Ren said, after the entire idea had been laid out. But it would make Dicathon less dependent on old Kezis. Okay, they're not telling us the plan. They're leaving it in mystery. And less subject to his threats to abandon us, I finished. Can you handle this? It'll need to be kept quiet from Vakajor and the rest of the dragons, of course. Ren and Gideon exchanged a look that sent a shiver of pure horror down my spine as I wondered what I had wrought on the world by introducing the two. Emily's expression mirrored my own feelings, and she mouthed the words, "What have you done?" I've been forging weapons since before this continent had a name, Ren said smugly. Whelps like Vakajor and the rest of these baby dragons don't scare me. Gideon snorted. It seems you've brought me an able assistant, boy. Assistant? Oh, no. No. I'm sure we'll manage, or blow up half of Vidorio in the process. Now, we should really talk about no time now, I interrupted, backing toward the door. When I get back, you just got back, Gideon grumbled, throwing up his hands. Well, bye then, Emily said from across the room, waving weakly. I raised my hand in a gesture of farewell, then was out in the hall and already hurrying back to my mother's room. Despite the urgency of everything that needed to be done, I felt a sense of peace, and I could see it all laid out in front of me like a sovereign's quarrel board, and at least for the moment, I knew what move came next. So, this is a very good chapter. I mean, we got progress, and Gideon and Ren finally meet. These motherfuckers are gonna do some crazy shit. I can only imagine just the level of like complicated shit. So they're gonna make some type of weapon, some new type of weapon that's gonna give just the regular humans a chance against fucking dragons, though. Like, that's crazy. Dragon warriors? I guess it gives them a shot. And then they also can get the power-ups from the spell forms, right? So they can get those. But I wonder, can they do that? Can they give regular humans who don't have a mana core, can they give them spell forms? I don't know if that's even possible, though. But, so, what was I going to say? I was going to say some shit. So, yeah, so, we need to get some power-ups. We definitely need to get some power-ups. We don't even know exactly how strong the lances are. We don't know if they got any sort of, like, power-ups since he's been gone for those last 2 months. Did they get a spell form? Have they, like, better used their core? Could these... Okay, here's my thoughts, and also it's like a question, too. Can the Lances at some point, can the Lances at some point go beyond White Core, like how Arthur originally was supposed to do? Could they at some point go beyond White Core before this whole story is over? And you have like multiple Lances who are like Cecilia, who's beyond White Core, and I guess like have their core implode on itself and kind of, I still don't even know what the hell happened with her, but have the whole core like be incorporated throughout their entire body. I'm just wondering if that's even, is it possible for them to even get that strong? I don't think so, just because of everything that Cecilia had to do just to even get to that point. Like, she had to absorb so much mana from the Asuras. Like, I don't understand how they could even do that without killing quite a few Asuras, which I don't think they'd be able to do. And then you also have to have the amount of control over mana to be able to like draw their mana in the first place. Well, actually, Cecilia couldn't really do it either until, because she was only able to draw in the mana from the one Phoenix because she was like weakened because she was in prison. And then the only reason she was able to draw in the mana from the one Basilisk guy, I can't think of his name. But the only way she was able to do that was because of what Nico had did with disrupting his control over his own mana with the things that he embedded inside of his wrist. So I don't think that they would be able to even get past White Core. I mean, they'll probably get better control over their mana, but like, I don't think that they'll get past White Core. They'll have to get like some sort of power-ups from some spell forms and maybe get some weapons. We know that Byron has Tasty's old weapon. Maybe they can get some sort of weapons that like amplifies their powers that way. And that's really about it. So they definitely need to get a lot stronger. And then I'm also kind of thinking, I'm gonna turn the truck off for a second. I'm also kind of thinking with Arthur, right? So Arthur needs to go to Alakria and find out what's going on with Ceres, right? So he needs to find out what's going on with Ceres. And it's been 2 months. We have no idea what's happened. And so that's his next step. So I'm assuming that he's going to go with, it's going to be him, I don't know. I guess Sylvie and Regis is going to stay there. And it's going to be him, Kara, maybe Chul might go with him. I'm trying to think who else could go with him though. I think Arthur, Chul, and Kara would be enough. And then in the process, they can probably get Alaric. They can probably get Alaric out of prison. Oh man, I'm excited to see what the hell's been happening in Alakria. And is Ceres like captured, or like what the hell's going on? Is Cyrith, is he dead? Because I've been predicting he was going to die for a while now. He hasn't died yet, so he's been resilient. But this is cool though. This is cool. Like this is a cool ass chapter with Chul meeting the family and Ellie giving him praises on his eyes and stuff. And yeah, so we got some progress. But let me see what P's been saying. Maybe the lenses can get strong like the size of these. I mean, yeah, I can see that. I can see them getting at least strong enough to be able to go toe to toe with a scythe, right? Because right now they can't. But also remember too, the scythes got stronger as well. Because remember when Nico, got his new what was it called? Is it Emerald Regalia? When he got his new Regalia, they went to some tunnel, some fucking dark room and shit. And so the sides were supposed to get stronger because, Agrona was looking at them as weak now. So they have gotten some type of power up. But hopefully they can still kind of compete, But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like they'll be able to fight against the other mages from Alakria. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't see the other like regular mages. I don't see them being much of a threat anymore. I see more so because we still don't know exactly how much military might Agrona has. We know he has the Wraiths, and we know he has the Scythes, and we know he has plot device Cecilia. We know he has that. But we don't know how many Wraiths he has. We know that a Wraith is capable of killing a dragon if we get a team of them. We know that much. But yeah, we don't know how many. But I don't see the regular Alacrians being like a threat anymore, because I think that they'll more so be on like the revolutionary side with Cerys. That's her whole point of doing what she had did with like the whole loudspeaker thing when Cecilia came there and they tried to get through the little barrier thing, and she like announced it to all the people or whatever. That's the reason why she's trying to make Arthur look more like a deity, you know. So I think it's more so the Wraiths, and maybe Agrona has some other new, you know, I know there's other basilisks that's there too, so there's other sovereigns, but yeah, I don't really see the regular Alacrians as enemies anymore. So I guess they could be strong enough to fight off against a Wraith, maybe just one. I don't know. Maybe they can beat a Wraith if they had like, you know, 10, 15 humans with like the weapons and stuff like that. Maybe they're strong enough to be able to defeat one Wraith. So, you know, they need to increase their battle numbers. But I mean, Alacria has a lot of combatants, man. They have a lot. Remember what they was talking about when the whole fight against Dicathin, when they had all the different troops or whatever coming there, and they're all fighting against, like, you know, Professor Glory and all the rest of the stuff that was going on there. Like, those weren't even their strongest warriors. Like, their strongest warriors was diving into the relic tombs and, you know, trying to get artifacts from the relic tombs. They were just like basic soldiers going there and they're fighting. And, you know, like, man, they have so many. They have so yeah. So I mean, I guess the way that I think about it now is that Catherine's going to have to convert Alacrians on their side, and that's going to be a way to strengthen their numbers too. But then again, can you really trust the Alacrians? But I guess like that's why he put Lyra in charge, so that way, you know, she can kind of like be the one to steer them in the right path, you know, because we got a bunch of the captured Alacrians. They're in like the not the Beast Glades, but like near the Beast Glades, like near old Elenwar and stuff like that. So yeah, man, I'm gonna come up with another video kind of just talking about what I think needs to happen as far as going forward, because there's a lot of things going on and there's a lot of preparation that needs to be made, but I don't really know what they're going to do going forward, though. But we really need to find out what's going on with Cerys. We need to find out what's going on with her first. We need to get Alaric and the High Bloods. The High Bloods are potential allies and stuff too, so we need to find out what's going on with them. Hopefully it's not bad. Hopefully she's not like captured. I don't know, but yeah, this chapter was dope. This chapter was dope, and stay tuned for a video. I'm gonna make another video, kind of giving some predictions or some plans on what I think they should what should happen. But other than that, man, I came out early with a live reaction. I figured it'd be easier that way. I don't really have shit to do today, so this would be, you know, cool to just kind of do the live reaction to it. And I think I'm gonna sign out unless there's anything else that you guys want to comment on, because I can't really think of anything else. I mean, it's just a lot of things that we just don't really know yet. You know, things got to progress. But anyway, I appreciate y'all joining though. I appreciate y'all joining. Appreciate the likes, and I'm gonna get another video up. Try to get some more videos out, and that's about it. I'll check you guys out in the next video. Peace.